Welcome to Accounting with Confidence, QuickBooks Backups Best Practices. I'm Beth Whitworth, and I have been working with QuickBooks for over 25 years. I have been a CPA for that long, and I have also been running my own CPA firm for the last 13 years, specializing in bookkeeping and QuickBooks. So I was on the very front end of the QuickBooks Pro Advisor program and am advanced certified in both the QuickBooks Online and the QuickBooks Desktop program. Today I wanted to talk to you about making backups. With everything that has been going on in the world, from natural disasters to pandemics, forest fires, there are very many reasons why it is so important to make sure that your backup practice for your QuickBooks files is really on its A game. So there are some things that you want to make sure that you are doing inside of QuickBooks Desktop, and then there's also some applications for QuickBooks Online that give you some really robust features for being able to have your data backed up at any time, and I will show you both of those. So I'm going to hop over to getting inside the product and show you, we're going to start with the desktop product. So in any version of Desktop, Pro, Premier, or Enterprise, the backup system is pretty much the same. There's a way to set it up so that you have a manual backup of your system, and you can do that at any time. Or there's also a product called Intuit Data Protect, and you can see that there's a link to that down here. And that is an online backup where you are essentially backing your file up into the cloud, and it is a system that you can automate so that it does it at a certain time. Otherwise, you can take control of your own backup. And what this is doing is backing up only your QuickBooks data file. It has nothing to do with any other files on your computer. It's not backing up any Word documents or PowerPoint templates or anything. It is just taking your QuickBooks data and making a backup of it. My recommendation for this is that you are backing it up either to another spot on your hard drive or server that then is backed up into the cloud, or you are backing it up to someplace on your computer and then moving it to some sort of removable storage device, whether it be a USB key, a hard drive, whatnot. But what you want to make sure is that you are maintaining a backup of your software, of your data file, somewhere besides where the server and the data file resides. So if you have a system where you have a server or you have a standalone computer and it all lives on that one computer or that one server, you want to make sure that the backup you are making is actually leaving the site, because in the event of a natural disaster, a power outage, issues that you can't get back into that place, maybe your property floods and you can't get there, you need to have that data file available to you. So that's, you either want to push it up into the cloud, or you want to make sure it's on some sort of removable device that is stored off-site. So it's going home with you at night, or it is, the responsibility of somebody that to make sure that it is pushed up into the cloud, so that there's a backup of that every time you use the file. So for most people, if you have a heavy use of QuickBooks, you want to be backing that file up every single night. And the reason I say that is because in files where there's a lot of volume, losing 1 day's worth of activity can really set a company back. You want to be able to at least get back to the last transaction that happened the day before. I don't feel that there's really any reason to back it up during the day, because it actually can slow down processes if you have a large file. However, if you are ever integrating with a new application, you have any type of third-party application that you are just setting up, you're importing data, any of those situations, you will definitely want to make a backup, a manual backup, prior to the integration. In case something goes wrong and it would take a lot of time to make corrections, you would rather just go straight back to that backup. So in QuickBooks Desktop, to make a backup, you can go up to File and go up to Backup Company. There's a couple of choices there. You're going to either create a local backup, restore a previous backup, or set up and activate that online backup, which is that Intuit Data Protect. And that there is an additional fee associated with that backup. And I will admit that I have not had any personal experience with using Intuit Data Protect, because I have had a situation where we have a backup system that is pushing everything to the cloud. So it's external from QuickBooks and reliable. So to create your local backup, you're going to click on Create Local Backup. If you're going to set up the Intuit Data Protect, you would choose Online Backup, and like it says, fees may apply. Otherwise, you're going to choose a local backup. And this is where it suggests that you're putting it to a removable storage device, but for best practices, I will tell you, you want to save it to a hard drive on the local computer or the local server, and then copy it to either that USB drive or that removable hard drive. There is some issues with actually going straight to that USB drive. It could take longer, or there could be some data integrity issues in that transfer if it's happening at the time the backup is being made. So instead, I would say point it to a local drive and then drag and drop it over to your USB, your flash drive. So once I click on local backup, I'm going to choose options, and here's where I'm going to tell it where to back it up. In this case, I'm just going to browse to a backup drive that's on my desktop, just so that for demonstration purposes, and you may want to go ahead and do that, have a folder on your desktop, and from there, you're going to take that backup and put it somewhere secure, whether it's to a drive on your server that actually is getting backed up by an outside service or your IT department, or dragging it to a flash drive. The next thing asks about add the date and time of the backup to the file name. I recommend that, especially if there's an opportunity where you are integrating with some third-party app and you're doing some sort of import. You may have multiple backups in the same day, so you definitely want the date and the time. And then the next question is limit the number of backup copies in the folder to 3. That really is absolutely dependent on what your processes are. If you're backing it up to a folder that is located on a server, and then that folder on the server is being backed up by another product, then you don't have to limit it to 3. If you are putting it on your desktop and in a folder on your desktop and then dragging it to a USB folder, you may want to limit it to 3 because you don't want to have a whole bunch of backups accumulating on your own personal hard drive. So I'm just going to let this default for now. And then here's the next, this next step is how you can get this to remind you to back up every time you leave the company file. Now, this could be really important. So if you're the last one to leave the file at night and you have this to set up to remind it every time you leave the file, then it will start the backup to the location that you have indicated as soon as you leave the company file. So that's kind of a nice reminder instead of having to have a separate reminder about making a backup. Now, the next section is very important. There's 3 choices, and it gives you the opportunity to help me choose, but I'll help you choose. The best option here is complete verification. And the reason for this is going to go through and verify your data prior to it making the backup. And that is to make sure the integrity is already intact. If you don't back it up or verify it when you do the backup and there is some integrity issue, you may or may not be able to restore that backup. Now, the quicker verification has been added to this so that people who have a much larger file could get through their backup faster. However, that same file is not having a complete verification done. So if at all possible, you want to choose complete verification and just deal with however long it takes to make the backup. If it is taking way too much time, then you're going to choose quicker verification. And I never recommend using no verification. You're either going to use complete or quicker, and I would highly recommend complete until a time it becomes a little too cumbersome to choose that option. So once you click OK, it is going to warn you, hey, you picked someplace on your own computer. It's going to warn you of this whether you choose a network drive and or the USB key or anything. So just like I said, I save this to my backup and then I drag and drop it over to the USB key. So and let it copy it as opposed to making the backup straight to the USB key. So I'm going to say use this location, and then you're going to click next. And then you have a choice. You can save it now. You can save it now and schedule future backups, or you can only schedule future backups. So really what needs to happen is if you choose to only schedule future backups, you will then be taken to the screen of backup automatically, which is save your backup, copy automatically when I close my company file every time. And so if you choose this is where you're going to say every time. Click Options to view or change where it's saved. That's the screen we were just on. And then if you want to set up a backup schedule, you're going to click on New. You're going to choose the description, the location, the number of copies that you want to keep, and what time you want it to back up. So this is, if you're in the file Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're going to choose those 5 days. If somebody's working in the file on Saturday or Sunday, you may want to make sure that you are backing it up on Saturdays and Sundays as well. If you're doing it as you leave the company file, you may not need to set up this schedule at all. If you're an infrequent user where maybe you're only working on your bookkeeping in your QuickBooks file, once a week, every couple of weeks, back it up as soon as you are done for the day, so that you have the most current backup. Otherwise, if you just click Save It Now, it's going to run through the verification process and then it's going to run through the backup process. Depending on how large your file is, it could take a while. So be prepared that people may or may not be able to do anything else in the file. With Pro or Premier, it needs to be single user admin. And with Enterprise, I believe it does not need to be done in single user, but it still can slow down the performance. So you want to make sure you are getting this process set up for your QuickBooks file. If you've never backed up your QuickBooks file, I tell you, you're living on borrowed time. So the other thing I wanted to show you is QuickBooks Online. So QuickBooks Online it backs up, so Intuit backs up their servers, and they back up those servers, for natural disasters. If they had some sort of data disaster, they had some sort of virus, anything like that. But those backups are not something that you can get to. So my recommendation to my QuickBooks Online clients is to use a product called Rewind Backups. This product allows you to back up anytime you want. And it allows you to restore, the whole file or just pieces of the file. So one of the drawbacks for this is it does not back up payroll. So if you're using payroll within QuickBooks Online, it will not back up that up. But I will tell you, I don't recommend QuickBooks Online payroll. QuickBooks Desktop, I'm a big fan of. QuickBooks Online, I do not recommend for anybody. So what you can do in this is you can set this up to back it up. You want to make sure that you have a good connection to QuickBooks with a good internet connection. You're going to be able to back up pretty much, like I said, everything except for payroll, and you would be able to restore all or part of it. So your bills, your bill payments, credit memos, deposits, estimates, invoices, journal entries, payments, purchases and purchase orders, refund receipts, sales receipts, time activities, transfers, and vendors. It also does your lists. So say, for example, you decided that you needed to import a list of customers, and you did that and it was totally terrible. So if ahead of time you had used Rewind, you could back up the company file for your online file, and then you could restore just your customers. So there is a lot more flexibility on this than with a QuickBooks Desktop file, and it is a paid service. It is, I believe, around $19 a month for just a regular business. And I believe that would be $19 a month for each company, I believe. Accounting pros have a different fee structure, where if you have a whole bunch of client files and you want to be responsible for making sure you have good backups, you're going to sign up for the accounting pros, which is $9 per client per month. And that is for unlimited backups. They're continuous, they're automatic. You can restore from unlimited from the beginning of time from your first backup, and you have a free 7-day trial. So I definitely recommend this product. I know I've had clients who've started using this because they were integrating with a third party, and the third party made a change to their end, and it changed the integration with QBO, and suddenly things weren't working the same way. And this saved them by being able to go back to prior to that last integration. And it was one of those things where had they not had it, they would have had a lot of cleanup on their own. So I definitely recommend this. I think that if you are going to use a QuickBooks Online file for a business file that you are in on the regular, like your day-to-day operations, you need to have some sort of backup system. Okay, so that was my in-product demo. I couldn't really show you Rewind, but I will in another capacity at some point, I'm sure. But I wanted to make sure everybody understands that backups need to be made. You need to be ready for natural disaster, for unexpected things that happen, and you need to make sure that it is safely being backed up, either up into the cloud, and that you know how to restore it. So test it. Make sure that you understand all the steps, where to find the file, how to restore it, how to replace the file that you are currently using. So make sure you've worked through all of that, and it's really important to do that before that unexpected event happens, because if you don't, you will be scrambling, and it could really be disastrous for your company. So that's all I have for today. I wanted to let you know the ways that you can stay connected with me on Facebook, my website, or if you ever have any questions, you can feel free to email me at beth@wlxco.com.